Hello everyone and welcome to a video on Palworld. Now, the fact that Nintendo is suing them is just insane. Like, if you actually look into everything on what's happening, then you understand that... Here, I'm going to adjust some sound, but basically, you understand that things are just rough with Palworld. And, well, most people would expect, oh, it's not that bad. In reality, this is just insanity what Nintendo's trying for. I personally thought about, hey, why don't I just try to understand the Japanese on this one to see what actually was going on? And it's just like I actually looked into it, and Nintendo's cases that they've gone through, sure, they've won all of them that they've started. The fact that they've won all the ones that they've started for litigation in any capacity says something that would look bad for Palworld. However, I believe that this case is just genuinely not as simple as what some people are thinking. Now, does this mean that PocketPair is 100% in the right? Uh, if you actually look into it, I'd actually say that PocketPair should win this case. Now, is it just perfectly fine as is on everything? Not necessarily. Like, I get why Nintendo is doing it, but I also see reason to believe that PocketPair doesn't deserve what they're being treated like right now. Like, a lot of the Japanese people, I've seen like people being mixed about whether or not uh that Palworld deserves the win or not. And it's more mixed towards Nintendo's favor, which is odd to say the least, only because maybe it's just because of the cultural difference and the law differences is my guess, which, based on what I could find, didn't 100% support Nintendo on this, but because Nintendo has been known to strong arm people in the court system, it makes a big difference. And that's where I think PocketPair is going to have to overcome it. And it looks like they're not just giving in like some companies have, which says a lot. Because if you're not going to just give in, you're going to fight it, and Nintendo was probably not expecting that. I'm just going to leave that. But it should say a lot about how a company is. Because some people in Japan thought that they were just trying to basically rile up the other side to make it a case for them in some capacity. And it's, in reality, I think that it's insane that Nintendo's trying this, because this could affect the gaming industry as a whole. Now, do I know what patents were infringed upon? No. Are they potentially broad? Yes. In fact, like, there's a patent that somebody had talked about that definitely hit those broad stroke arguments, and that's where I'm like, okay, PocketPair has an argument if they look for the right things to attack. And that's where Nintendo, I think, is going to lose if PocketPair does do something. And unfortunately, I don't know what they're going to say, but hopefully they go for the right ones. Because if it's talking about creature capturing at all, well, I have a list of creature catching games or games that have creature catching in them that aren't Pokemon or Palworld. And there's like 10 games that, or more. Like, I know of at least quite a few that hit that area that definitely would say, oh, PocketPair should be in the clear if, like, the argument was made. But that's just kind of crazy to think that PocketPair has been sued. Like, it was going to happen if Nintendo didn't like it, and I don't think Nintendo likes how far things are going. And that's why I believe they are suing. Not because they don't want to have competition, but they are scared of the competition, is what I'm thinking is going on. Which is also what some other people think is going on. And if you're scared of your competition, that means that there's something that you're doing that isn't going to look good. Or you're just going to be looking through things and finding, oh, hey, Nintendo is doing things their way, but what they don't realize is that it's holding back the industry. And in this case, I have a feeling that they might be holding back the industry for what it is. If that's what they're currently dealing with, is that we're seeing that. And for somebody to just say, oh, that's something very odd to hear. Like, why would you be afraid of your competition unless you yourself were not doing the appropriate job to deal with the competition? And it's insane. Like, I am frustrated. Like, I even decided, you know what? If you're gonna treat Palworld bad just because you're afraid in some capacity, which I believe Nintendo is afraid. I don't think that Nintendo uh, would think, oh, it's just minor competition. No, I think that they think Palworld could actually affect Pokemon in other ways. And if that's the case, then we know that they're going to be afraid of other things. Now, that just says enough for me to just not be on Nintendo's side on this at all. But at the same time, if you're worried about Palworld, you should side with them. Because if you're for innovation, side with Palworld. That's what we should be doing, is siding with innovation. Not what we've seen recently from Nintendo. And I'm not saying Nintendo is bad for just doing this, but I think they're bad for how they've gone about things. Because what they're doing is they're just trying to say, fuck the competition, we're just going to sue because we don't want anyone taking what we usually do. And that part in itself is just kind of insane. Just for me to hear. Because you'd think, oh, they're just trying to do something to make things better for themselves because they don't like having to deal with competition from somebody who definitely is not a bad company. Like, PocketPair has been doing their best to try to literally get you a good game, and Nintendo's like, well, we don't like the game that we don't like you having the fun of Palworld because Pokemon is better in their eyes, which I don't see an issue with them seeing Pokemon as better. I have an issue with how they go about making the issue be less of an issue for themselves. Because what they're doing is just saying, fuck you, we don't want the competition because if we have the competition, it's just going to make our job hard, is basically what it seems like. And if you're going to just act like the competition is trying to ruin you constantly, then we need to just basically say, well, if you are going to act the way you are, we'll just not respect you as a company because honestly, I don't respect Nintendo's actions on this. So it just tells me, hey, I'm not gonna respect that. I could use this on here. Wow, that actually got me quite a bit. I'm just trying to think of how to get my weight down. But yeah, it's just kind of insane what they've done. And if you support gaming, I think supporting Nintendo would be the worst idea right now. Now, I'm not saying that Nintendo is 100% wrong for any actions, but I can't defend them. Because they should have taken action. It's the way they went about it that I'm not okay with. That's basically it. But yeah, that should say enough about how I feel. And oh shit. You'll kill if you do, so I'm just... Okay. If I can just catch... There we go. So, basically, it's just looking at it from the perspective of, is Nintendo actually doing their job to uphold improving the gaming industry? And if you look at it, the answer is no. They are definitely harming it by doing this because this sets a precedent that broad stroke patents are how you should go about business. And if you're going to do broad stroke patents, that's a massive issue. And I've never agreed with a thing like that. Okay, I can't... Oh, wait, I can go into my technology to do this. So, it takes 2 cloth? Okay, so I need 1. So... let's see if that didn't get my weight down. It got it close with that. Okay. Well, me being faster is going to help. But thinking about it, it's just kind of insane what this is. And I normally don't do these videos, I will say this. But I just felt it was necessary with me being one of those people who's liked Palworld since release, and Nintendo's trying something absurd. Like, it is frankly as simple as calling it absurd, because it really is just that. Like, if you think that people will just agree blindly to what you've stated, no. Like, I don't think I will ever agree with Nintendo on this. And this is coming from somebody who is a fan of these games. Like, I don't just condone actions that harm an industry that I've been playing games in since I was a child. And if you agree with them, that's you. Okay, I got it. Veil of Darkness. Oh, okay. But yeah, if you believe in just doing other things, then yeah, it's fair. Like, I believe that we should focus on the values of gaming. And sure, I understand, like, people in Japan are mixed in calling it, like, straight a Pokemon ripoff. Like, some of them straight up have. And I've told them, hey, there's a game that it's more similar to. But obviously, I've translated, so, and so have they, so, and they tried to get, no, we tried to figure out the boundary kind of thing. And, like, I'm not going to say, oh, I think that all Japanese people are idiots, because that would be wrong. Like, they're not idiots. They just have different laws and everything else works differently. So we have to actually think as if we're, like, focusing on their laws, because what it is it's a Japanese court thing. We, as a community, just need to focus on the values of our community rather than the values of a company. Because a company like Nintendo, right now, are attacking what we want. And that's just unfortunate. And now that we're doing this, it's like, yeah. It really makes a big difference how things are. And I've just been doing a lot with other games for a while, and I'm just like, oh, Nintendo's suing Palworld now? When in reality, it's just like, oh, they are suing them for patent infringement, and we don't know what the patents are. And it's split people. Like, you either are with or against Palworld. Like, if you are or if you're fence sitting, you're basically siding with Nintendo here without siding with Nintendo. It's a pick a side moment because of the fact that it affects you even if you don't know what it does. And it's one of the worst things that could have happened to Palworld, for sure. And for now, I probably will stay off of anything Nintendo directly. So I'll probably still support people who do play Nintendo games that I like, but that's just because they are there and being entertaining, and I probably will just be like, okay, yeah, no, you have attacked something I've loved and you're attacking the gaming industry indirect, like indirectly putting an attack out on the full gaming industry. I feel like it's not just the it's an attack on Palworld. It's an attack on the industry. Just it's directed at Palworld first, and then it'll be worse for the rest. Is how it's going to be. And that's where I'm like, okay, these broad stroke things are insane. And I think that we need to stop things before they get out of hand. Wait, what's this? Oh, wow. There was a berry in there. But yeah, that should say enough about the issues. Like, if I'm siding with the smaller company, that's because the smaller company's in the right. But not only that is the fact that you can look at the past with Nintendo and it's like, oh wait, Nintendo has also done things that you could argue are as much of a ripoff in the past, like Dragon Quest. Look at that. Like Pokemon ripped from that. If you didn't realize, like you can take 2 seconds to realize that Dragon Quest has monsters awfully similar to Pokemon's Pokemon. Not all of them. In fact, not even a lot of them right now are like that. But when you make the thing about Pokemon being similar to pals, like you make that argument, you have to actually look at the full picture. Because the models of the pals are different. The designs have similarities, like Dynawesome looking similar to literally one of the pals that everyone likes, like one of the Pokemon, Goodra. Like, Dynawesome and Goodra are very similar. I just, for a second, couldn't think of the name, and I don't know why. Okay, there's a Kremis. I just wanted one. I think it needs a copper key. Wait, lockpicking? Wait, how do you lockpick? How do you... What the fuck? Lock picking? How do you get locks? I'm just confused, sorry. I'm just gonna do this because I need to check. Repair kit. I don't see how... I just don't see how I could lockpick. But yeah, pretty much it's just frustrating to hear. And I just, right now, I'll name some games that you've probably... Oh, wait. Copper key. Thank you. Well, a copper key is... not copper key. Looking at the stuff for it, I'm just annoyed to see that Palworld is having to deal with it, but naming some games that have creature catching mechanics in some capacity, you could look to things like World of Warcraft. You know, something that just has had it for over a decade. They've had a form of creature catching. And you'd think, wait, they've had that for over a decade, and yet Palworld has only existed for a little bit of time? And it's only now an issue? Or you could go to like Nexomon, which has the ability to catch creatures in a thing that is distinct from a Pokeball. I'll give you that. But it's still the same idea, just in a different look. And that's the key thing, is that the idea hasn't been protected, and it's very broad stroke in some capacity, because that's Nintendo's patent. It's not a sphere that's patented. It's the catching things in in an object which you couldn't really patent because that's not been protected. You could literally just, and on top of it, catching them in a cage. That is still, like, there are so many things you can catch things in that it's broad strokes. It's not good. And if that's the patent that's being infringed upon, I hate to say it, but that patent is genuinely not a good patent. Like, sure, if it's circular and has, like, the traditional shape of a Pokeball, sure, I could see it. But I don't see it with how things are right now. Like, I look at all of the current stuff with Palworld, and I'm like, yeah, no, this game deserves to fight its fight. And I will not support Nintendo on this, even though I wanted to know how the other side was. And now that I understand a little bit better how the other side thinks, I'm like, yeah, no, this side definitely is seeing it one way, while we're seeing it as another. And those of the Japanese population that do think like we do, I respect you on that thought process. And I'd rather everything go well for this lawsuit. I'd rather see the benefit for all of us. Okay, that gets you to 67. But yeah, that should say enough about how things are going. It's like, I think that Palworld should be allowed to exist because it helps all of us. It brings a better gaming industry for everyone. And unfortunately for a lot of the Japanese audience, I don't believe they see what we see. And it's getting that sightline to be known. That's the issue. Because the courts might favor Nintendo, they might favor us. We don't know what they're going to favor. Because Japanese law is very much different from American law and European law and all of that. And these are two Japanese companies, and that's the key thing. It's not two American companies, so we're not going to see the outcome that we would normally guarantee to see. Like, you'd expect, oh, it's definitely going to go one way, when in reality, it definitely goes another. Like, we're in different, these are in different genres, and and which one's more innovative right now? Palworld. Like, Palworld is innovating in so many ways. Meanwhile, you look at Pokemon, the last time they innovated was Legends Arceus, and that innovation wasn't bad, but at the same time, it's like, you could look at Palworld's broad stroke things, and honestly, I think that, or not Palworld's broad stroke, Nintendo's broad stroke things, and then you could realize, oh hey, Palworld just did this way different, and it just means we have to do better. So, why are we seeing the lawsuit at this point? And it's just corporate greed or something else. And that's just sad. For those who actually like the stuff for Palworld, you obviously know it sucks. Because corporate greed, usually, I don't talk about Nintendo and corporate greed because usually those two things aren't in the same sentence. Usually, I do see occasionally a reason for it to be kind of mentioned, because if we're being honest, like, corporate greed definitely has affected a lot more companies than we realize. But Nintendo has been on this path that nobody's been asking them to go on for a while. Which sucks. It's not our fault that a company chooses money over anything else. It's the fault of Nintendo. I'm gonna have to do that. But if you've ever wanted to improve a game, the goal has always been to either innovate or do something else. And Pokemon hasn't been innovative in years. Like, sure, it's added and then added and then added, but now it adds something and then takes it away. And it's like, that's not innovation, that's just gimmicks. And, like, sure, Legends Arceus, we don't know if it's going to be the same as, let's say, other things, like, you look at... Oh, that's the syndicate thug in the ground. Oh, wait, he's not in the ground. What? But yeah, I think I have gotten all the points I can across right now. But naming a few things, like, you could go through and name way more than I did in this video. But, like, even Final Fantasy has had some creature capture type mechanics in it, so that should say why this is kind of insane. Is this a PAL sphere? Wait. What? I've never seen this, but I'm doing this because it's funny. Alright. Okay. Well, I hope you all enjoyed this little bit of a rant on the drama. It's coming out the day after I recorded it, but it's going to be on my birthday. And I hope that everything just goes well. And I'll see you all in my stream tonight. Bye bye.